I want to explain what we are building. We are building a software which is the Federated Catalogue, and I'm going to explain the main components of this system. Okay, so first of all, I want to explain a challenge. I want to repeat some ideas that were explained before, but I think it is important to understand the whole context of this technical project. Yeah, and you can see here the concept of the project. EUHubs4Data is the creation of a federation of innovation hubs, and you can see here the whole group. Currently, we are 30 hubs, and for instance, at the beginning of the project, we were only 12, but have different process to include more and more hubs in the project. So in the end, we are 30, and the project is about the construction of this federation. So we started in 2020, and we were a group of different hubs, and the process is to create a common identity, but then we want also to share the knowledge, to share the services and the datasets that we have, and create a federation to work as a single group, single entity at the end of the project in 2023. So just to highlight the idea before starting the project, all of the hubs have these same objectives. I mean, they were independent hubs, not collaborating or not having this collaboration that we want to have at the end of the project, but there were different entities with the same objectives, which were the collaboration with the SMEs of the local ecosystems to help them in their innovation processes, giving them access to services, to datasets, to knowledge, to everything, just to improve the situation of these SMEs, to improve the products, and to facilitate to be in a better position in the markets. So the final concept is this one, is to work as a single group, work as a team, to have a same identity, but the important thing, and it's still very interesting, is that we will continue giving this local support to the SME. But in this case, each one of these local hubs will have a wider range of services and datasets to offer to the SMEs in the ecosystem. So these services, which could be technical services, could be assessment, could be courses, or on the other side, we can offer also datasets, is what we want to share all together in a common catalog. So what is the thing that we are creating for helping to this idea? Yeah, we are creating a software, and technologically, this software is a distributed system. In this system, each of the partners of the project, each of the hubs, have to install this software and have to work as a single instance of the whole system. So the main or the high-level requirements are to have this distributed catalog, where one hub will share the assets with the rest of the members, and any other of the members has the possibility, has the freedom to accept or not to this asset, meaning that it will be included in the local catalog or not. So one of the main parts of this software is let's say the backend part, which is called internally the service delivery framework. And basically, this part is implemented using a software which is called NATS. NATS is a broker solution and provides the usual publish and subscribe methods between the different nodes that are participating in the system. So to share these assets within the members, what one node does is to publish the metadata of the course, of the service, of whatever, in a topic, or you can say a channel. So this information, this metadata, arrives to the rest of the members of the federation, of the system, and they can accept that message to be part of the catalog or not. To make this more usable from the perspective of the members of the people managing this solution, we created a web application. And this web application manages everything, manages users, manages assets. You can create different assets. As I said again, services, datasets, and courses are the main differences at from a logical point of view of this software that we are using. And you can think of this software as a usual content management system that you may know. For instance, if you are used to use WordPress, or you use Moodle for courses, it's something similar. You manage users with different roles, and you manage content. But the particularity, or the very interesting thing here in this software, is that when you create content, you are sharing this content with the rest of the entities that have the same software installed in the infrastructure. Okay. So that's basically the main parts. It's a, let's say, usual software application with a backend, with a REST API, with a front end, with the particularity of this that this is a distributed system. But there are more components that makes more interesting this solution. It will be explained later by my colleague Andrea in detail, but I want to introduce these main three components that are all of them related to dataset, which is very important. Data is very important for innovation processes. So we have these three components, which are the metadata enrichment. I think the name is self-explanatory, but this is a solution that brings an API where you can request additional information for a dataset that you already have in the catalog. So this system crawls the internet, searches for information to enrich this dataset, and then you can retrieve this new data and update your dataset with richer information. And then we have the metadata harmonization, which is a software that is being created to build a knowledge graph. And this knowledge graph has brings the possibility to discover more datasets related to one that you already know. Okay, this is useful for data scientists, let's say. They know that they want to use one dataset for their experimentation, but this makes easy to discover similar dataset that could be useful for you. And then we will have this CCAN integration that is also very important for us, because it will bring a better front-end catalog for datasets, and also it will bring the search possibilities that this software provides. So this is the present, and where are we going in the future? Basically, we are finishing the software that I'm presenting today. More or less everything is working. We can create different users with different roles. There are administrators of the software. There are organization managers. There is a user for creating and managing this content, these assets. And then there is one important role, which is the ethical reviewer, because ethics is a very important part of this project, but also for innovation and for SMEs. And we have to say that we have included a specific user interface for studying, for analyzing the datasets that are published, or before publishing. We have this interface to analyze these datasets and decide if they could be public, they can be published or not. And this study, this analysis is made by an ethical expert. So in the end, we have all these features already. As I say, we are completing with them. The integration of CCAN, of the enrichment of data component, the harmonization component, and yeah, that's working in a distributed way. And we are sharing information. We have tested this, and everything is working. So for the future, yeah, we have to finish. Then we have to make the final touches to this software. We have to test. We have to deliver a final version, or a first final version, with the partners, just to let them to test this software and propose new improvements. And yeah, we will consider the integration of additional tools like other content management system, for instance, Moodle for managing the courses, in the same way that CCAN will manage the datasets. So that's all, thanks. And my colleagues will explain some of these parts and other ideas more in detail now.
And the idea is that I assume that in the room there will be some people interested to get information about the federation, maybe some interested also to join the federation. And on the slide you would have seen that there is a mapping with the IDS framework, because this is what we are using in the project. Excellent. Here is the slide. So as I was saying, referring on the left-hand side of your screen to the different kind of interoperability that the European interoperability framework is defining. And then, so the legal, as you can see, when we are talking about legal, this is how to ensure the organization have the legal framework so that they can work together and especially exchange data. This is tackled within IDSA using the CITRA rulebook and trying to develop some templates for legal means. For the organizational, we also have our IDSA rulebook. So this is how organizations will align business process and just work together, but on a practical way, right? Like SLAs and things related to business transaction. Then the semantic interoperability, we really talked a lot about that on the 2 first days of this event. So this relates in IDSA to the information model, what we do with the vocabulary provider, and then the technical interoperability. So for that, there are a couple of components that are already available on the IDSA open source landscape, but also the test bed so that you can test yourself against what is the, let's say, the role within the IDS ecosystem. So bottom line of this slide, you are in good hands. So if you want to experiment with data space, what I wanted to reflect here is that IDSA is a good way to learn, right? So whether you are a DIH or SME, testing with IDSA, you are covered on every aspect of this interoperability. So this is a good first step if you want to learn. Then this is unfortunately a slide that has been already shown yesterday. But again, if you were a DIH or SMEs, of course, joining data space would mean that you would like to explore some business case, right? And for that, so this was again a slide presented yesterday by Boris Soto. There are a couple of, let's say, business case that start to be identified in different existing endeavors. First being the cost sharing. This is something that we can see in Catalogue, for instance. So the experiment that they're doing on the CO2 footprint emission and just collecting, you know, information on the different step of the value chain. So you're just sharing information and sharing the cost associated. So the joint innovation, as it is, for instance, in EUHubs, so this lighthouse for tourism and mobility with the intermodality use case. So how you set up one ticket from point A to point B using different means of transportation. So joint innovation, of course, you need like to be different actors to succeed in that. Combined force, this is basically what GAIX is doing, right? So avoiding monopolies and trying to establish a bit of fair access on how you exchange data, and also rules on GAIX side, of course, for cloud providers to show transparency on the different offers that are available on the market. Shared marketplace. So this is like, as we can see in Catalogue, for instance, the possibility to share information about quality. So we know that ecosystems tend to become more complex. So every step on a value chain need to provide information, and you're just offering this information in the same way and making it accessible. So this is one of the business case developed in Catenates. And finally, greater goods. So this relates a bit, for instance, to the use case I was explaining in the beginning. So the CO2 carbon footprint emission calculation. So the fact that you are able to compute the information of the carbon footprint over the whole value chain, since you are able to get access to the data of all the different participants of this value chain. So again, if you are interested, that's the good time to start and maybe also to develop your skills toward that. And actually, this is exactly what EUHubs4Data offers. So as presented by my colleague Guillermo just before, there are a couple of components. So on the catalog side, so how you can share assets on one hand side and then open them to the rest of the ecosystem, at least present them to the rest of the ecosystem, because in the case you would be interested to share your information when, well, you can rely on a IDSA framework, the one that we are using in the Federation. As you can see on the circle on the screen, there are a couple of DIH already implementing connectors, and they are able to use IDS connector to share data in an IDS way compliant between themselves as soon as the transaction has been done on the other part. So the benefit for you as DIH is that this is a solution to easily exchange data in a trusted manner. So this is a very good way to start. And that would be my concluding slide. The good thing joining our federation here is that over the time of the project, especially the partner and the DIH build a good expertise on data space. So that's a very good way to start learning about data space, because information and expertise could be shared within the project. And of course, this is something that you can then offer to your ecosystem. So offer your expertise about testbed connectors, and actually offer that, like implement the testbed and offer that to your ecosystem, so that in turn they can test themselves all the components that are related to data space. So that would be it on my side, Andrea.
I'm going to talk about the part of the catalog which deals with the datasets, so and the main challenges related to it. So first of all, starting from what are the objectives of the Federated Dataset Catalog? First of all, we would like to set up and operate a catalog of datasets and data sources that are coming from the different DIH of the Federation. And in doing that, we would like to allow easy access to the data and search, and of course, implementing enrichment, harmonization of datasets, as we said before, with the component that we are developing. And on top of that, we would like also define for policies and guidelines for the member of the federation in order to share the published data that are available for exploitation. So main challenges here. So first of all, building workflows for publishing new datasets to the catalog, and in a way perform automatic pre-analysis together with the enrichment, and then perform harmonization based on ontologies. And then of course, the definition of the policies for the DIH is to share the datasets. What we are currently federating open high-value open dataset hosted in external repositories. Another assets that we would like to include, and we are including in the catalog, are the datasets that are generated during the experiments execution. You know, we have, as said before, you know, and you see one example of experiment in FUVEX this morning. The project open calls deliver assets as generated datasets, and some of them are shared also in the catalog. And then, of course, we are collaborating with the ecosystem in order to and in other external initiatives in order to include those assets and datasets also in our catalog. For instance, one example are the data platform for the ICT33 projects, which have already shared some of their generated datasets in the catalog. This is what has been presented also by Guglielmo this morning. Before, this architecture of the catalog with the Catalogue Manager, which is collecting assets from the different DIHs. And now I'm going more details on the components that are on the central federation node, which are enrichment, harmonizing, and providing search. So the enrichment component is provides API and to trigger enrichment of data and information on demand. This basically are based on local rules or on crawling from information from node repositories. So that some of the metadata fields that are pushed are enriched with those information. The other components that has been developed is the metadata harmonization and the knowledge base. So this component is mainly delivering, extracting, the metadata fields and try to map to analogous metadata fields from the IDS model ontologies. So as said before by Antoine, we're using IDS also in this component of the federation. And this includes already known vocabularies like DCAT, but also we extended it with other ontologies like DPpedia. And then we have, from one side, as I said, extracting the information from the metadata that are mapping the system metadata to the IDS model ontologies. But we have also implemented like algorithms in order to extract from the description and the values of the different metadata, map it also to populating a knowledge graph based on the information that are extracted from the description and other fields of the metadata that we are aggregating. Everything is then stored in a knowledge graph, which is then accessible by the user. And finally, as said before, we have the dataset catalog portal, which is based on one component, which is SICAN. It's an open source data management system. In this architecture, SICAN fulfills two roles. We have, like, from one side is storing the datasets metadata, and from others, allows search over and browsing of the catalog. And the link with the knowledge graph is also included in each metadata from the dataset. So basically, from the search that you perform over SICAN, you can then browse the knowledge graph, because this is included as a link in the resulting metadata that we have. And this is allow to browse the knowledge graph and understand link between datasets that are published on the federation. So from the technical point of view, so this is what has been and is under finalization. We have also set an activity of working on data protection and privacy. So we decided to work on guidelines that has been released in various steps of the project, and the last one in September 2022. And those guidelines are providing members of the federation with the privacy-related aspects that should be considered, in particular when they want to share the datasets on the catalog, but also when the datasets are accessed during the execution of experiments. So some examples I'm putting here. So for instance, the categorization of from the privacy and personal data protection perspective, the definition of the roles of the project participants under GDPR, the definition also of the policies of dataset sharing and access during experiment execution. These are the main points that have been included in the guidelines. And we are working on a public webinar, which is under organization in May and June, related to this topic. And this will be also important not only for the digital innovation hubs or spaces that are working on this, but also for others that are interested, of course, on this topic. Yes, this concludes my part. So now I think that we can move to Natalie, which is concluding this session about the future of the catalog. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Natalie Chernetska from TerraLab, and let me share my screen. There. All right. Can you see it? Okay, so
yes, we can.
Okay. So I'm going to talk a bit, to reflect a bit on the future of the catalog as the main asset of the Federation. As you know, this is something already was discussed. Just to build upon what my colleagues said, the catalog is the way that collaboration in this project becomes tangible. The catalog is the way we display our services, and also the catalog is the way we provide our services. So the catalog is an enabler across the border of the whole project, and that's why we consider it the main asset among many assets. Now, what makes this catalog special? I mean, you can say, there are many federated catalogs, there are many catalogs, there are many marketplaces, if you want to use a fancier name. And I think there are three aspects we can consider. First of all, technological. Second, the usage. And finally, trust. And I'm going to dwell upon all these three aspects. Let's start from technology. You obviously already heard the presentation of Guillermo, how the catalog was built. We had several iterations, and we're now moving towards like these very days, towards the minimal viable product. What one can say is the technology behind is actually pretty light. It's quite light at the first iteration. It still remains pretty light at the final version. And this lightness of technology allows for greater flexibility. Why this is important? Because also you already heard there's a different level of maturity among the hubs. There's different level of technological sophistication among the hubs. For some of the hubs, they have great experience, they have lots of capabilities, they have a long history providing services and datasets and serving their community. Other hubs are very new, being created maybe a couple of years ago, or very new, sort of entering this European ecosystem. So this lightness allows each hub to find its place in this catalog. And in fact, one of the benefits of this catalog, we realized that it allowed many hubs to formalize their offer or to formalize it in English, which is also another benefit, and showcase their asset. For many of our hubs, actually, our federated catalog is the only way on the web where you can find, as an external user, you can find a comprehensive list of their assets. And so the minimal viable product, which allows you flexibility to display the asset, which allows the hubs to decide what actually they want to display, which again is very convenient for younger hubs, but also for older hubs which have lots of services. This is what we have today, the interface of a final version you already seen, but I'll give you a concrete example. For example, I'm a hub TerraLab based in France, and I will obviously display my own services, but then I will say, okay, there's this wonderful service from Poznan Supercomputing Center's Geospatial Kit. So I can display it also in my own catalog. And if the clients are interested, I will sort of contact the Poznan people and start working with them. Or another service, which is very rare, there are two hubs providing ethical assessment of your AI and data services. So I can decide which of these two hubs I will display. Let's say I will display someone from Madrid, from IR4C, because they are closer to me and because I already work for them. Or, for example, my hub provides data hosting, which is data challenge hosting, which is pretty unique. So maybe many hubs would be interested in displaying it. So this is all to say that this flexibility will allow hubs joining the federation or iSpace joining federation later stage to decide how they interact with the catalog. So this lighter technology is built for greater flexibility and sort of also built so in the future it enables expansion of the federation. So, and the second aspect is actually usage. As again, there are many catalogs that have been built, but this catalog actually has been used. This project, as you know, not only supply-driven, what we are talking about, the catalog, the technical offerings, the service offerings, the courses, but also demand-driven. Quite a lot of attention in this project was given to open calls to work with SMEs. And the catalog was tried and tested by end users, and actually we had feedback loop from open call participants, open call candidates, how to improve the catalog. And the open calls, which is important, required the hubs, the candidates to select at least 2 services from different hubs. So they actually they were actually forced to use as a catalog. And I'll give you some examples. So when you say how many people did use it, so we had over 270 candidates using the catalog for the open call from a variety of countries, sort of distributed between different open calls. And this selected from the open calls, you had 42 experiments coming from 15 countries in 10 different sectors, all using services and data sets from the catalog. So in a way, for us, so when I'm saying sort of using services from different hubs, for us it was a great surprise that to reach an extent the candidates were interested in using assets from different hubs, and all this enabled by the catalog. Which brings me to the final aspect of my talk is trust. You already heard about trust from Antoine, because trust data sharing is a key concept of IDSA framework, something we are basing our data sharing interactions in this project. But obviously trust has not only technical but also human aspect. And we experienced a lot of collaboration, very concrete collaboration among hubs, designing the catalog with multiple feedback loops also from the hubs, and also providing services according to service delivery framework, sort of trying to negotiate among the hubs how we provide services coming from different hubs. And so this is beautiful diagram is something we show quite often, which shows how hubs collaborated with each other in the open call. And obviously, to sort of all this manifest, all this shows that in the core, in the course of developing this catalog, using this catalog, we created a trust network of partners doing some very concrete things together, and this could be the core of the future federation, and the catalog is one of the main enablers and very concrete assets. So to conclude, obviously, so as I said, catalog has several dimensions. Light technology, has been used. We have developed a lot of trust building the catalog, also using them. Obviously, some technical issues need to be solved by the end of the project. We need to test several aspects. We also need to find, and as you have learned in the first session today, we also need to find some viable financial model for the catalog to continue in very simple words. Some hub should would be good if some hub adopts the main core or the main node of the catalog so that it continues to exist. But the catalog has proven its utility both to hubs and to end users. And when the future federation will become a reality, it will be the main assets. We don't start from scratch, but build upon something that already has proven its value. That's all I have to say.